Hi guys, Jay Smith here. Welcome to the AskGolfNut channel. Today we're talking about this thing, this big stick, the driver. And specifically Mizuno's driver, but then this also does go with other brands which are known for one side of the business and not these things. So when it comes to Mizuno, perfect example. If you ask anyone about Mizuno irons, what are they going to say? Most of the time they'll probably turn around and say, they make the best, if not one of the best irons in the entire market of golf. But they're no good at woods. But are they? Now, I have done multiple tests when it comes to the new woods, and they are literally just as good as anything out there. Not better. Nothing is necessarily better. Okay, there's a difference in fitting. You can either be poorly fit or better fit, which will make a massive difference to where the golf club goes, how far it goes, etc. But that's down to personal fitting, not the physical design of the head. That's down more so to poor fitting. So these things are now just as good as anything else out there, yet people still think of Mizuno as being only an iron brand, of which they make great irons, yes they do, but they also make good woods. It's just people consistently think that they don't, and I don't know why, because it's, you can see they just make really well performing heads. I mean, it's just good. I mean, I hit that slightly low on the face, slightly toe, slightly low, but it's just good, and I don't understand it. I took this STZ 230 out on the course, and the sound this thing makes, it's so in here in the studio, because of the acoustic properties of the studio, I get to hear the differences in tone with the impact of every single head, and so I can critique the sound they make and stuff like that, because to a lot of people sound makes no difference whatsoever, absolutely none, but to some people sound makes all the difference. If you remember back in the day of ping, when they used to make one heck of a ping. Nowadays they've calmed down a little bit because they understand from a marketing point of view that a certain amount of people like the sound, a certain amount of people don't. So why would you alienate one side of the market based on acoustics alone? So they make it a little bit less offensive to the ear. But it's working well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit a few shots, and I'm just going to show you necessarily just how either good or bad this is. Now remember, when it comes to a driver, what we're looking for? We're looking for you to hit somewhere in the middle, yep, and the ball to come off as fast as possible. Well, not as possible, as legal as possible, because remember, when it comes to the face, this has been governed for many years. So the ball is not allowed to come off the middle any faster than a certain amount. Coefficient of restitution, and more so CT now, has came out that you can't do that. Cool. Well, they've got to that point, and they've had that point for a long time. What you can do though is make the outside, the perimeter, the bits where people hit, which they shouldn't do, but we do, make them as fast as possible, because obviously they're not as efficient as the middle, so you'll drop ball speed. But if you make the face thinner and a bit quicker, you gain that back. So the race is now more so to try and make things more forgiving. And forgiveness comes in two things. One, ball speed from off-centre hits, and also unwanted tilt axis applied to the golf ball, tilt axis curvature. So your job is basically to swing, as best you can, and then for the ball to go where you tell it to. If you miss-hit it, when it comes to forgiveness, leave that to the manufacturer in question to get the ball to go to your intended target. Right, let's go hit this a few times, and then we'll go have a look at the information, at the data, and see, and I won't be doing miss-hits, I'll just be hitting normal shots. Because if you want to know miss-hits and stuff like that, I've got a full review of this on my channel. You can go up there and have a look if you want to. But let's go see how this thing performs. Right, so I've had a go at hitting a bunch of shots there. Let's go have a look at the PC, just see again how well this thing does. And I did say I wasn't going to do any mishit stuff, but I've captured a couple, which are quite interesting when it comes to the efficiency side of things, and see how well this not very good driver, when it comes to sales wise, actually performs. Okay, after hitting a load of shots with the STZ230, and bearing obviously in mind that they don't just make the STZ, they make the STX as well. Z, Z, wherever you are in the world. But they make the X as well. Well, the X is a little bit more draw biased, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a fader to use it. A lot of people which actually draw the golf ball are still using the X because the X is a marginally, it's a slightly draw biased one. It's not a heavy draw biased head. Anyway, so, I was obviously going to say that I wasn't going to go through some of the forgiveness stuff, but I've just through that test that I've just done there, I've just been hitting some shots and performing as exactly how I would expect it to perform. I mean, all these modern day premium drivers perform within reason exactly the same. Now, you have got spin profile differences. Obviously, you can move the center of gravity in the head to make it a higher or lower spin head, more MOI based, more forgiving, or a little bit more lower spinning when it comes to that. Of course, you've got the Z, or the Z, which is their neutral one. You've got the X, which is slightly draw biased. And of course, you've got G, which at the moment, we are still running the 220G. And I'm not saying that a new G will be coming out, but if it was to be coming out, it would be coming out sort of fairly soon because they run a alternating cycle when it comes to the G or the low spin head launch. So the Z is supposed to be a kind of mid-spin idea. And if I put the ball data screen up first, just the summary, the averages of everything, you can see that an average 160.3 miles an hour, 12.3 launch degrees, is going at 281 in total, but that's because it's spinning at 2259. It's going 34 yards in the air and descending at 37.6. I mean, that's lovely when it comes to descent angle. Anything under 40 degrees, anything in the 30s is lovely because obviously you're going to get a good amount of bounce and roll. And of course you see there 281 average and 308 is the total, which is always quite healthy. If you go by the club data, 110.8 miles an hour, 110 give or take is always around about my normal. Efficiency 1.45, and we'll get to the efficiency in a sec. Attack angle 4.3 up, that's the angle of which the golf club is coming up into the golf ball. Club path 1.2 across and face 0.7 open, little tiny baby fade dynamics. Dynamic loft is 17.4 and 5 mil toe, 1 mil low, but you've got standard deviation on there as well. So standard deviation is there mainly as a measure of variance, so you can see. And if you go by the compare screen, you can kind of see the information that's a summary of everything. But what I have done is I've captured some of the information on there when it comes to the list. So I've obviously hit a load of shots, and so many that, as you can see there, it just goes straight through. The long list of there's obviously loads more that are above that, 30 or so shots. And so you can see the variance of me. Obviously, I don't just hit target all the time. You can see there one there of 21 yards left and also 135 yards right. I'm a human being at the end of the day, and of course I miss from time to time, but you're looking within reason at a for me, I play a little baby draw as a pattern on this one. Of course, I'll miss the odd one here and there. Again, we're human. But it's still doing very well. Now, if you look at all those numbers there, they vary from 278 at the top. We've got a 276, 275, 275, and it also goes up to 287, 286. Yeah, that I can see on that list there. If we now move over, and I'll see if I can do some kind of blending on the screen to showcase this. I'll move over now to the club list. So exactly the same screen that you see, but flicked over on the club data. So you can see all the different variances of me, where it comes to club head speed, where it comes to strike point, which is the most important, and then also delivery as well, because we all deliver slightly differently. We're not robots. But if you look at the efficiency, the second column, 1.45, and when it comes to the efficiency numbers on there, peaking at 1.47, 1.46, 1.45s and stuff like that, you can see there I've hit one at 1.43, a couple at 1.44, but look at where I'm hitting them. And the ones that are in the middle, there's two 1.44s in the middle. If you see that, that's from 18 mil toe and 21 mil toe respectively. And that's 1.44 when, if you get one straight underneath that, 1.47, that's 4 mil toe, 1 mil low. That is bang on basically middle. But you can hit that far off of the middle and really not see a huge drop in efficiency. Now, of course, we are talking about the fact that we have variable face thickness and stuff like that nowadays, where we didn't have that before. The middle is always governed. We can't get around that. It's always the way, because unfortunately the RNA and USGA govern it, and they will continue to govern it because of trying to keep, in their view, the skill on the golfer rather than just pure technology to lower handicaps. But it does give the manufacturers a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to making the outside, the perimeter of that golf club a little bit more, shall we say, illegal. Now, what I mean illegal, it's not illegal, but if they had that face trampoline, that face thickness and that trampoline effect in the middle, it would definitely become illegal. So nowadays, that's what you're seeing. You can hit something nearly an inch away from the middle of the golf club and really, in ball speed terms, really not lose that much. And then it's just down to the fact of how much gearing you get and stuff like that. But obviously every single golf club is different, because obviously their design's slightly different for different people. But what you're seeing now is a far, far greater push on not just trying to make something as long as possible, because we've been doing that for a long time when it comes to all manufacturers have made the middle as fast as they can. And remember, you have got different head profiles that will suit different people. So for me, is this going to be the absolute longest one out there? No, I would go for the lower spinning head to get my absolute best when it comes to peak distance. But I think as an average, because again, as you can see there, generally speaking, not too bad, but I do miss the occasional shot. We all do, some more than others. And for me, who I still have the potential to miss not the face, but you know what I mean, I have missed hits from time to time. I would still possibly go to the Z because it's just a little bit more stable than what the G or the old G or what potential new G would be. Now, obviously, if there is a new G coming out, we don't know. If there is, then it'd be interesting to see how forgiving that one is, because I would assume it's got the same or very, very similar technology as what the new Z and X of the 230 line has. So it just goes to show, it's an interesting one from my point of view, is that mainly I do not understand nowadays whether companies like Mizuno need to do something different, market it a different way, I don't know, or work a different way to try and change people's perceptions. But this is exactly what it is. It's like golf myths. Who makes the best golf ball in golf? Well, what is the best golf ball in golf? Well, it's got to be Pro V1. No, it's the best marketed one. What's the best launch monitor in golf? Well, TrackMan. No, again, that's the most well known. But when it comes to quad down there, she does pretty well. And I would definitely, when it comes to a launch monitor, different things for different people when it comes to indoor, outdoor and all that lot. And it's exactly the same when it comes to companies which struggle with a certain part of their business model. And Mizuno is a perfect example when it comes to their woods. Their woods, as you can see, I would put this wood up against any other wood on the planet, and it will be just as good, fit correctly, as anything else out there. Any TaylorMade, any Callaway. Now, is it going to be better? No. Why is it going to be no better? Well, that's purely down to physics, and that's purely down to the fact that within reason, they are all chasing the exact same thing. And unless people move the rules about, or metallurgy changes to a point of where they can even get even more forgiveness from the perimeter, we are at a point now where all manufacturers within reason are making, as near as you can, exactly the same performance heads. So yeah, when it comes to it, if you haven't tried the Mizuno, we are talking about performance exactly the same, but we are talking about different looks, we are talking about different feel. As when it comes to different manufacturers, they produce different things. And some, yes, are more forgiving of certain strike points on the face than others because of their design. And then yes, that does separate sometimes because of their design ethos when it comes to one manufacturer will want to make the toe slightly more forgiving, or one manufacturer will want to make the heel slightly forgiving, but effectively they're all trying to chase the same thing. So we're not just talking about TaylorMade, Callaway, Titleist to a certain extent, some Ping. We are talking about obviously the other brands which don't have their first point of call being, you're a driver manufacturer. It's well worth now testing them all because, again, everyone's different, so you're going to fit potentially a slightly different head, and as long as your custom fitting is right, which is the important thing, you'll either find something that's going to gain you a little bit when it comes to peak, but that's going to be marginal. But what you might find is that depending on where that golf club's sweet spot is and where its forgiving spot is, you might gain a little bit back when it comes to your forgiveness off your miss hits. So, hope you liked the video. If you did, go on, give it a like. YouTube likes it, so do I. Down there is a little red button. It's the subscribe button. It's free. If you could do that, it's great for the channel. Thank you very much. And also, next to that is a bell icon. That's a notification bell. If you click that one, that will notify you next time I upload another video. So, hope you're well, and we'll see you again soon.